This is just a reminder on how far people are willing to go when you underpay them and overwork them.
You know, if you're not gonna pay us enough to live or afford to live, at least pay us enough not to do this.
Imagine getting paid $18 an hour in Southern California to work in this giant factory with only 20 people. He set fire to a Kimberly Clark toilet paper warehouse, and if you think about it, each unit of toilet paper runs upwards of $15 to $20. And this happened to them allegedly because he wasn't being paid a livable wage. This is not like a small mom and pop toilet paper company. This is like a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company. Michael Su, who is the CEO of Kimberly Clark, makes $15 million every single year. It is seriously only just a matter of time before more things like this start happening, because at this point people are getting tired and they have nothing to lose.
I hate to say it, but the warehouse worker was more effective than the No King's March, okay? Because they can't ignore that. They're gonna feel that. That hurts their bottom line. The only thing they care about.
Americans need to stop with the mythology of they should just work harder, placing the blame on the employees. Can you please sit with your own delusion? Do people need to work harder, or do companies that are making billions of profit need to pay their employees who help them make the billions in profit a living wage? For example, on average, Kimberly Clark employees get paid $23, $24 an hour, which equals to about $45,000, $47,000 a year. A livable wage just isn't an economic issue, it's a health issue. Psychological safety requires a baseline of felt security, and if you can't meet basic needs, you don't have that security. The finger shouldn't point at one. This is a both and. Employees and employers. Is it humane when employers pay employees a non-livable wage and make billions?
Listen, some people just boycott differently. Some people don't show up to work for a few weeks. Some people go on a march, and some people burn their workplace down. That man said, pay us or I'm going to get rid of it all. And that he did.
All you had to do was pay us enough.
They were paying this worker about $18 to $20 an hour. That's not livable. Gas is expensive. Groceries is expensive. Literally every and anything is expensive these days. And y'all don't think that people aren't going to crack? Imagine working 40 hours plus, can't even have time for yourself, and you're only getting paid $18 an hour. And trust me, I'm not saying that he was right in what he did, but I'm saying that I see why he did it.
I think it has begun, folks. I think it has begun. Another warehouse in Queens, New York is now ablaze. I think the class war has begun.
That man that burnt down that whole warehouse because the employees wasn't paying them enough and recorded it. Let me know how much the bond is, baby.
Girl, another massive warehouse fire broke out, this time in Queens, New York. Girl, these fucking warehouse fires are gonna be happening more often, because I don't know, people are starting to get fed up, and I guess they caught on and caught a clue. Girl, shit is about to get litty like a titty in the US of fucking A. God damn.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for tuning in. Alright, Americans are tired and desperate of actually the cost of living skyrocketing to the point where they cannot afford anything. Wages are the same while the cost of living keeps on getting higher and higher because the bills are not affordable anymore. This desperation is being seen with measures that are outrageous with what we are seeing right now, especially on this episode. Somebody going ahead and burning up his own warehouse, an employee burning up a warehouse and saying that you should have actually paid us better, at least livable wages. This is crazy because these companies and these corporations make billions and billions of dollars, especially in crisis. During the pandemic, these toilet paper companies made billions. And now, with the crisis of the conflict in the Middle East, They keep on making billions and billions of dollars, but they are never, absolutely never willing to, up their employees' wages, for instance, just to keep up with inflation. Look at the man's desperation. He's just saying, at least you should have paid us livable wages. All right, we have to understand that we do not actually condone or support any of his desperate measures and actions, but a lot of Americans, a lot of people understand exactly why he did it. Well, let's take a look at this video and what people are saying about this case and this video, especially this trending topic. I'll be back with more commentary. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that like button. Let's take a look.
If you're not going to pay us enough to live or afford to live, at least pay us enough not to do this. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to... There goes your inventory.
That dude burnt down the entire warehouse where he worked because he was pissed off because they weren't paying a living wage.
What firefighters once again have been dealing with out here, massive flames and heavy smoke were seen coming from the roof of the building, completely engulfing it shortly after the fire broke out this morning.
This happened in Ontario, California, and they were able to pretty quickly arrest the guy who set the entire thing on fire because, well, he posted that to his social media. The thing that I found really interesting is how many people in the comments on every post about this are either praising him or empathizing with the situation. I think it's pretty obvious that the American workforce is drowning. The cost of living is absolutely through the roof. It keeps going up and wages aren't moving. People are starting to get desperate, and it's when people get desperate that bad shit starts to happen. But what's your take on this? Let me know down in the comments.
That fire in the Kimberly Clark warehouse was not violent. And I don't want to see the mainstream media paint this narrative that this was a violent act by a violent man with violent thoughts. No, that was an act of desperation against a violent system. What's violent is his family not having enough to eat. What's violent is his rent being more expensive than he can afford. What's violent is that he doesn't have affordability in his healthcare. He doesn't have universal healthcare. He doesn't have fucking healthcare probably, or mental care, or dental care, or vision care, because apparently my body part is separated. My mind and my eyes and all that's not connected to the shell that is me. No, that was not violence. That was protest. He destroyed product. He did not hurt a person. He did not, nobody, from my knowledge, got hurt. They all were evacuated, all 20 of them, for the $1 million warehouse, by the way. They were all evacuated. The only damage was to profit. And that is exactly the way a protest should be happening. The only acceptable violence to capitalism is that which they can profit from. That's why they're mad.
The paper product alone that was inside of the warehouse was worth $500 million. The building itself was worth $150 million. In addition to count one, we filed an additional 6 more counts as it related to each separate fire that was started by the suspect in this particular case.
This morning, we're announcing that we are also filing federal charges against Mr. Abdul Karim with arson, which carries a 5-year mandatory minimum federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. According to the federal complaint that we have filed, the defendant on early Tuesday morning filmed himself setting fire to multiple pallets of paper goods inside the Kimberly Clark warehouse here in Ontario. This company's products include Kleenex and Huggies and are used nationwide, being sold and shipped throughout through interstate commerce, which provides us federal jurisdiction over this case. The defendant repeatedly boasted of his crimes. He posted Instagram videos showing himself lighting the merchandise on fire in the warehouse. He said, quote, if you're not going to pay us enough to effing live or afford to live, at least pay us enough to not do this. So not only is he now facing state charges, the state will be proceeding first. He's in state custody. He'll be arraigned on his state charges. He now has a federal charge. He has a federal arrest warrant. So when he's done with the state, he'll come to us. And we look forward to ensuring that Mr. Abdul Karim is behind bars for a very long time.
That video of that warehouse employee setting that paper warehouse on fire, then saying this wouldn't have happened if he would just have been paid a livable wage, it got me thinking. Warehouses, office buildings, the such, they are quite flammable. It was impressive how quickly that fire spread. Like, businesses are flammable. And there are plenty of employees out there who are underpaid, who are mistreated, who are taken advantage of, who are being laid off in record numbers. All it would take is a stray flame for those buildings just boom, for copycats to happen, and it would be wild because those flames just took over those buildings. It would be crazy if copycats spawned from this, especially in the state of America right now. Be crazy, man.
They are hoping that that worker burning down millions of miles of factory because they're not being paid is going to be a micro trend. It's not. It's actually what happens when you prove to people their words don't matter. When I can elect you to be a public servant and you can come out of a meeting and go la 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 when I give you my grievances. When I show you article after article of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs because you outsource them to a computer that doesn't do the job better. It just saves you money. But when the cost of Netflix is up, YouTube is up, food prices are up, rent is up, gas is up. Don't be surprised when people say, if it's up, then it's stuck. We're sending billions of dollars to foreign bodies that don't want to fight their own wars. But you haven't had a raise that was more than $1 in 5 to 7 years. Your car payment is almost $1,000 a month. You haven't had insurance in almost a decade. And the CEO of the company you work for's salary is $29 million. While your tax dollars pay for $1 million missiles that get launched at children. That dude throwing the Molotov at Sam Altman's house, the fire being set at that factory, this is reality coming to a head because you guys are delusional. You guys think that there's enough Netflix and enough TV to keep everyone pacified until you realize there's no pacifying being homeless, facing eviction, daily starvation. Even the slowest of us are not going to be focused on TV when we can't afford to live. These events are not blips. They're signs of things to come. This is a warning. There are no peaceful negotiations with people whose response to you is sheer violence. When you gradually create multiple generations of people with nothing to lose, decreasing jobs, decreasing wages, a decreasing ability to purchase homes, and a destabilized, unsustainable way of life, they're going to respond. Grown man, by the way. Don't believe me? Watch this. There's no threatening people with a loss of wages, a loss of employment, or a loss of high quality of life when they don't have any of those things. You're going to see this happen way more.
So I just watched a little press conference about the whole Kimberly Clark situation with the brown man that allegedly burnt down the Kimberly Clark warehouse. They're saying that the paper products within that facility alone were estimated worth $500 million. Toilet paper, my boy. Okay. They're not including like forklifts or other equipment thus far. They're just saying the paper products were worth $500 million. Then they said the warehouse was worth more than estimated $150 million. That man got up there and said, yeah, after the state's done, the federal, we're going to take over and we're going to make sure that he spends a lot of time behind bars for what he did. Where is this energy for people in the Epstein files? Where is this energy for Trump, who is stealing millions and billions and trillions of dollars in tariffs? Where is this energy for all these corporations who are taking all of our water? Where is this energy for anything that really, really makes sense? Because when it comes to Luigi and when it comes to this man, y'all got all the resources in the world. Yet, everybody who was in the Epstein files that was linked to even cannibalism and things like that, they are still walking free. I told y'all it's crazy, but check the comments. The hand in that video was white. Don't get bamboozled.
No, absolutely not. That hand does not belong to that man. That is definitely the hand of a Darren, somebody who's been named Darren, I don't know whose white baby that is, but that is not the hand of that man. Are you saying that he got tanned in the fire? The heat and light from the toilet paper fire tanned him. What? No. I've seen so many videos of people showing a picture of whoever that is, saying he's the one who started the fire and the arson. No, I can't even see that voice coming out of that man. Now this could be Darren. I don't know if it's Darren, but this could be whomever. For those of you not getting the joke, there's a joke there you're missing. It's a Cat Williams reference. It's wonderful. It was a great joke. Okay. But not only does the hand match that dude, but that shirt matches the lighter. That's exactly what I imagined the hand holding that lighter would look like. But that hand did not belong to that man. No, absolutely not. I have been asked to swallow a lot of nonsense from the media in the past few years. No. Also, are we going to address the fact that this was even an option? Forgetting who did this and why and all of that, let's set that aside for 1 second here. What do you mean there was no fire suppression system in the insanely flammable building? Because we saw the video, there weren't sprinklers going off. Where was the fire suppression system? Because of all of the things that will very quickly absorb water and stop burning, toilet paper is super up there. Super, really. Maybe not the tippy top, but it's topping out. I don't understand how you could put those two images, the face of that man and the hand of Darren over there, how you could put them next to each other and be like, yeah, no, that's the guy. That's the one officer. Jesus Christ, I'm going to bed.
I don't care that man burned down that warehouse because fuck that warehouse, but I also don't care that he was overworked and underpaid because who the fuck did he vote for? Yes, that matters, because at the end of the day, everyone's saying like, oh, this is the start of the revolution. This is the Boston Tea Party. This is the Boston Tea Party for y'all. Okay, we've been ready to light this motherfucking candle. We've been ready to light this fucking birthday cake. Y'all are the ones who take forever to understand what the fuck is going on. If you get all the people who are willing to work for lower wages out of the country, then who the fuck do you think is going to do it? Not the blacks, okay? We're overeducated and overqualified for these jobs. These aren't our jobs that they're taking, unlike that man said. They're your jobs. So you're going to have to work for less. And you think that, no, it's going to make us be able to demand higher pay. No, it's not. You've never gone up against a white man, okay? You're a white man who's never gone up against a white man. Do you know what the fuck happens when you tell a white person no? Especially a rich white man no? You're about to fucking find out. So this is the Boston Tea Party for y'all, okay? We're still in the motherfucking house. Yeah, I'm still in the motherfucking house. When I saw the size of that warehouse burned down to the ground, and the forethought to make sure that all his coworkers were on break, okay? Make sure all his coworkers on break, and it was only 20 people. Imagine what they're fucking making. Nothing for all that motherfucking toilet paper. Easily flammable. Burn it down. This is what I mean when I say burn it down, okay? Y'all gonna have to do some work. Yeah, get on with your homeboy on. This is what I want to see all y'all do. All of y'all do. I don't give a fuck about that warehouse. I don't give a fuck about none of these rich people who are getting pissed off. It's a dude in New York pissed off about Mom Donnie and him trying to keep shit still rent stabilized. He was like, yeah, I have hundreds of buildings. The dude was like, so, okay, your taxes are $74,000, but how much are you making off a building? He was like, you know what? That don't matter. That don't matter. Yeah, because he's making millions of dollars off of each building. He just want to be making millions more. He feel like he should be way richer. He took a risk and he should be where the other people are. Yo, do you think that rich people want you to be rich? They don't. They're not giving you advice so you could become rich. They're giving you advice so that you can stay in your tax bracket of rich, okay? But you will never get to their level of rich. And you will never be able to get a livable wage as long as y'all peacefully protest. Y'all gonna have to burn down some motherfucking warehouses. Yeah, y'all gonna have to Luigi some shit. Yeah, that's the only way shit gonna start changing the way y'all really want it to. But y'all gonna have to do it. And it's funny how y'all president got how many felony counts? He ain't been arrested yet. That man ain't in jail yet, but y'all can find this man immediately and charge him with all types of shit. Y'all can charge him with all types of shit. Wasn't nobody even in the warehouse, but it's somebody's property. And now people are about to be property again let me get the fuck out of this country before y'all really test me, okay? Because I burn this whole fucking country down, okay? But people are about to be property again. They just gonna try to make it a different color people, okay? Just the brown people. And imagine if those were people that somebody owned. Oh. They would have been up in a motherfucking riot. Yeah, it is that deep with me. I'm that motherfucking woke. Yeah, I am. I don't give a fuck about that warehouse, but I also don't give a fuck that man is going to jail. If it was us, we would be going to jail, and y'all still wouldn't do shit. Y'all don't never do shit. Where the fuck is Snowden? Where the fuck is Monduro? They disappeared him. Okay. I don't give a fuck what he's in jail for, which was illegal. Where the fuck is he? The whole country just let us take a fucking president. Yeah, I'm that fucking woke. Where the fuck is Snowden? Where the fuck is Luigi? Now that I think about it, you know what? Have a blessed day, okay?
That man set that warehouse on fire, and I can't be upset about it. In fact, I think more people should do it. Obviously, that's a joke. But I am saying, listen, I'm not mad at him. Because mind you, the entire time he was doing that, he was making a very clear reason on why he was doing it. He says, you guys are not paying us livable wages. I just want to live. And the fact that I see think pieces of people be like, oh, no, he went about it the wrong way. That was so violent. That was so... No, it wasn't. He took precautions. He made sure that when he set those fires, that everybody was out on lunch. A conscious king. And not only that, when he was saying, he's like, I want a livable wage. He said, we, the collective, the community wants a livable wage. I can't get upset with that. So he did a little arson. What's the big deal? What matter? He was sending a message, a clear message. And it was a reaction to not being paid a livable wage. And now I see people like in think pieces be like, oh, he went about it wrong. And then people are trying to talk about apparently he's getting paid anywhere from $18 to $25. And people's like, that's a lot of money. He's being entitled. Whoa. First of all, that's not how that works. He was in Ontario, California. Anywhere from $18 to $25 is still chump change. Regardless, he still stated very clearly in the video he was not being paid a livable wage. Why are you upset with him? Be upset with the greedy company. I say more people should do it. No, I don't. That's illegal. Nobody should follow in his footsteps.
Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back. You know, the American workforce is drowning to the point where, a lot of people are doing some desperation moves like these ones that we have seen this man actually doing. And a lot of people are arguing about this in the comment sections that it was wrong. Others are actually agreeing with them, empathizing and sympathizing with him. Now, I think both sides of the coin can be understood without actually trying to separate them. We can understand that it was not right for him to do that. His actions are not really the right way to go about things, because somebody could have actually lost his life, especially, thank God, everybody was actually evacuated. But also, the other side of the coin is that people do understand his frustration, especially because wages keep on being stagnating. They're the same since the pandemic, while crisis keeps on actually hiking the prices of goods and products. And since everything is actually going up, inflation going up, these corporations don't want to raise the wages of their employees to the bare minimum or even actually keeping up with inflation. And this is actually frustrating a lot of people, especially seeing your bills keep on rising while everything else is actually the same, especially your wages. This is desperation, because people are having to go ahead and look for 2-3 jobs for them to afford a living. It's very traumatizing. It's very exhausting mentally and also physically, to the point where somebody just says, enough is enough, I'm tired, I would rather go to jail, but I have to make these big companies feel the pain that I'm actually feeling. Some people are actually arguing that this is way better form or mode of protest than the No Kings protest. Well, I'm not actually trying to instigate any kind of violence or any kind of or people to go ahead and do this, but reports are coming in that after this happened in Ontario, California, there's another warehouse that actually has been set on fire in New York. Now, we don't know if it's the same purpose, but what a coincidence. People are seeing it, and a lot of people are saying that, like one lady was actually arguing that this is not violence. You might call violence as something very physical, but also denying somebody his rights, basic rights, is not, something easy. You can call that violence too. It is violence for somebody not to be paid livable wages, to be able to afford a living. It is violence for somebody not to have healthcare. It is violence for him not to have right to afford basic needs. And some others are actually calling him out for the fact that at least he had a job. There are millions and millions of Americans who did not have even a job. Others have been laid off. At least you had something keeping you afloat. So we choose which here. We absolutely understand both sides, desperation of both sides. Somebody without a job is, of course, going to look at it as petty. Why are you complaining? Why are you burning up your employer's facility? I've been looking for a job without success, or I used to have one, and then the whole company laid a bunch of us off because they were cutting on cost. Now, another person who is actually working in a place where they're being overworked for pennies, where they can barely afford anything with their wages, is going also to be frustrated because you are going to feel taken for granted, just like the man might have actually felt when he was doing this. Well, reports are in that the man has actually been detained, but a lot of people are pointing for the fact that, the arm, the fairness on the skin of his arm doesn't actually match the guy that is in custody. So maybe it's the camera trick, because also cameras do have a way of beautifying people, making them way more fair than they are. Or maybe might be not the guy, but I think it's the guy maybe. So this is crazy, this is really crazy, and it's something very important, a very important conversation to have here, because if you have workers, coming to this conclusion, taking such measures because they're tired of being taken for granted by these big corporations, well, I think something ain't right, because apparently the CEO of the company makes around 10 million, yet the normal worker makes even way less an hour than a normal or one toilet paper that costs in the supermarket. So what is not happening here? Something needs to happen where employees also need to get a fair share of what they are working at for these corporations, because of greed, because of wanting to make billions and billions of dollars in profit. They take for granted their employees, and they do threaten most of them with laying them off and replacing them. And a lot of people, because of the trauma of being unemployed, would actually work for underpayment than live without anything at all. And this is crazy, because this shouldn't be happening, especially in today's economy, in today's modern era. I think there should be laws that force these big corporations to actually at least make sure that the wages of the employees do keep track of the cost of living and inflation. At least these guys say, you didn't pay us enough. that we wanted, but at least you should have paid us enough to live. That means that all they need is enough to survive, man. Just enough to survive, and have a life without, being able or having to think too much about things, about the worry of being able to pay your bills with one job. Well, let me know in the comments, what do you think about this desperation and these measures? Are they outrageous? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that like button, and as always, see you on the next episode.